of Silesia 2025. My name is Martyna Szymańska, and it is my pleasure to coordinate the Psychiatry and Sexology session. I would like to welcome the esteemed jury, President of the jury, Dr. Magdalena Piegza, and other members of the jury, Dr. Paweł Dębski, Dr. Joanna Smolarczyk, Dr. Alicja Kawalec, and Dr. Kamil Kozyra, and Dr. Krzysztof Wilczyński, who is joining us online. We would like to explain to you the rules of the session. The order of the presentation will be the same as in the abstract book. The maximum time for presentation is 7 minutes and 3 minutes for the discussion. If the presenter exceeds the time, he or she needs to move on to the conclusions and finish the presentation as soon as possible. Esteemed jury, I would like to kindly remind you that if you are the supervisor of the paper which is being presented, you should not assess the work. In that case, please cross out the number on your card. Other members of the same clinic are able to assess the presentation. The assessment will be verified. Also, I would like to remind that if the work is being presented in English, the discussion also should be run in English. We kindly ask the jury to assess the scientific value, way of presenting, discussion, and own contribution to presented study. When the session ends, we kindly ask you to give back the cards or send them on the same email address from which you received them. To begin, I think we can start with the first presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you warmly. My name is Mateusz Gumienny, and I'm pleased to present to you our work, Artificial Psychiatry's Large Language Models in Diagnosis of Psychiatric Consulted Patients, conducted together with my friend Nikodem Świderski, who is sitting right there. Imagine a young psychiatrist facing a packed waiting room. Each patient has a complex and deeply personal story. The clock is ticking and the pressure is mounting. Every minute counts. In such a world, where number of patients outgrows the number of available specialists, the need for the more faster, more reliable diagnostic support has never been more urgent. At the same time, the rise of artificial intelligence, particularly large language model, has offered us a new hope. Our research explores how large language model could become an additional tool in psychiatric diagnostic, helping clinicians navigate the increasing demand placed on the modern mental health care. Rather than aiming to replace professional expertise, large language model may offer structured support, synthesizing patient information, suggesting possible diagnostic direction, and helping prioritize clinical attention. However, alongside these possibilities come important challenges: questions about reliability, ethical use, and the real-world limits of deploying AI into clinical context. At our study, we seek to map both the promises and the pitfalls of integrating large language model into psychiatric practice. The primary goal of the study was to assess the effectiveness of contemporary general-purpose large language models, specifically ChatGPT for Omni, DeepSeek V3, Grok 2, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and the Gemini 2.0 Flash in evaluating psychiatric cases from emergency department. We hypothesized that AI-assisted early detection of mental health disorder could significantly shorten diagnostic time, improve accuracy, and optimize resource allocation in overburdened emergency department. Beyond this clinical application, this model may also serve as an educational tool for the junior residents, providing a real-time diagnostic suggestion during the patient assessment. We analyzed psychiatric consultation in the emergency department at the Górnośląskie Centrum Medyczne imienia profesora Leszka Gieca, Śląskiego Uniwersytetu Medycznego in Katowice, Poland, over a 14-day period. A total of 40 consultation descriptions were collected. After anonymizing personal data, 5 naive large language models were asked to make a diagnosis based on the DSM-5 guidelines and provide preliminary diagnosis according to the ICD-10 classification. The effectiveness of the language model was determined by the correct diagnosis of exact nosological unit, as well as a correct disorder category, where, for example, code F.10.2 and F.10.3 were considered the same. As we can see on the screen, the highest accuracy in identifying the both correct nosological unit as well as a proper disease category was achieved by Claude 3.5 Sonnet, achieving 67.5% for the nosological unit and 90% for the disorder category. It was closely followed by the DeepSeek V3, achieving 65 and 85%. The performance of the remaining models was noticeably lower, with Grok 2 reaching 47.5 and 77.5%, Gemini 2.0 Flash scoring 45 and 75%, and the last ChatGPT for Omni scoring only 45 and 70%. As you can see, you can see the summary of this result in the chart being currently displayed that highlights the clear performance gap between the leading models and the three others. When we look at the combined results across all these models, we can see that they achieved 54% accuracy for pinpointing the exact diagnosis and 79.5% for identifying the broader disorder category. One particular interesting finding involved 3 cases initially coded as unspecified schizophrenia, where every single language model consistently suggested paranoid schizophrenia instead. And here's the kicker. This more specific diagnosis was later confirmed after full hospitalization. This can make you wonder how many of our so-called incorrect classification might have actually been ahead of the curve. Now, it's crucial to remember, these are general purpose language model. We didn't fine-tune them specifically for psychiatry. But what's exciting is that even straight out of the box, they show the real potential as a diagnostic assistant. Imagine this technology helping both the psychiatrist and the primary care doctor making better initial calls, figuring out who needs the urgent hospitalization versus who can be safely referred to the outpatient care. We are not talking about replacing clinical judgment, but we are talking about giving the doctor smarter tools for those crucial first assessments where getting it right mattered the most. Imagine having an AI assistant that acts like a supercharged notepad, flagging patterns in the symptom progression, serve as a safety net, make sure no important screening question gets overlooked, and work like a tireless resident, reviewing hundreds of cases overnight and didn't complain. But crucially, it knows its limit. It never tries to make a diagnostic call that requires a human nuance. It never tries to replace the therapeutic bond that formed in the quiet, often fragile moments, and never tries to confuse the statistical pattern with the richness of individual lived experiences. But the most exciting innovation will be those that give us back what we need the most, time. The time to notice the tremor in the patient's voice, the time to sit with uncomfortable silence, the time to be fully present rather than buried in the paperwork. Because at its core, psychiatry isn't about the data point, it's all about people. And our technological tools should help us see both the forest and the trees more clearly, while keeping the human connection in center of everything we do. Thank you. For the discussion, I would like to invite my friend, Nikodem Świderski. Any questions?
What was the contribution of both authors for implementation this idea? Because you are from another centers.
Yeah, I'm from another, and my friend is from another center.
Yes, I mean, one of you is from Katowice and one from Częstochowa.
Yeah.
Yes, and what was the cooperation of you both to do this work?
We both working on the same consultation we get in the GSM. It was the scientific circle from the SUM, but we know each other in real life, so we think we could do some together.
Yeah, I actually live in Katowice. I'm not from Częstochowa, but I live here, so it was pretty easy just to Górnośląskie Centrum Medyczne and just collect the data out here. Do you have any other questions?
Thank you for your presentation. And I would like to ask another author to present the paper entitled Assessment of the Mental Well-being of the First Year Medical Students at Polish Medical Universities.
Dzień dobry Państwu, ja się nazywam Piotr Tomala.
Dzień dobry, ja się nazywam Mikołaj Hartowicz.
Okej, jesteśmy studentami drugiego roku kierunku lekarskiego tutaj na Wydziale Nauk Medycznych i chcielibyśmy zaprezentować nasze badanie pilotażowe, które przeprowadziliśmy na przestrzeni ostatnich 2 lat. Nazywa się w taki sposób, a w skrócie chodzi o to, że po prostu chcieliśmy ocenić, czy u studentów kierunku lekarskiego nie dochodzi jakby do pogorszenia ich stanu psychicznego, ich samopoczucia na przestrzeni edukacji. Proszę o kolejny slajd. Dobrze. Jeśli chodzi o taki background, czy jak w ogóle zrodził się pomysł na nasze badania, no to zauważyliśmy, że my i nasi znajomi na początku edukacji byliśmy tak jak gdzie tutaj z obrazka. W sensie byliśmy radośni, tak pełni nadziei i chcieliśmy, znaczy po prostu byliśmy ambitni, czuliśmy się dobrze. Natomiast bardzo szybko to się zmieniło. Dalej. Okay. Bardzo szybko to się zmieniło, to znaczy byliśmy potem przygniecieni nową sytuacją, obowiązkami. Nasze samopoczucie znacznie się pogorszyło i pomyśleliśmy, że przydałoby się jakoś sprawdzić, czy po prostu taki stan, takie zjawisko zachodzi, że studenci potem, no faktycznie ten dobrostan się obniża i potem już się nie polepsza i czy nie rozwijają się też jakieś poważniejsze problemy. Okej. Kolejna rzecz, która tutaj jest istotna, to że nie trudno dojść do faktu, że ze studenta medycyny wyrasta lekarz. Potem po prostu lekarze, którzy na początku swojej edukacji, czy na wczesnych jej etapach przeżyli jakiś taki etap, który powiedzmy, że był nacechowany traumatycznie, czy był po prostu dla nich bardzo ciężki, no potem to może się objawia jakoś, może to mieć nieprzyjemne efekty na ich pracy w zawodzie. Taki lekarz, który nie poradził sobie z pewnymi traumami z okresu edukacji, no może być na przykład bardziej podatny na takie rzeczy jak wypalenie zawodowe, może prezentować jakieś cyniczne postawy. Różne rzeczy tutaj mogą się dziać, przy czym istotne jest, żeby najpierw ocenić ten problem, żeby móc zacząć myśleć o tym, jak go rozwiązać. Żeby nie doszło po prostu do takich nieprzyjemnych efektów w tym życiu zawodowym. Proszę dalej. Dobrze. Kiedy zaczęliśmy nasz projekt, pomyśleliśmy, że mamy już całkiem niezły pomysł, ale jeszcze potem musieliśmy dojść do tego, jak właściwie możemy ocenić coś takiego, tak żeby to stanowiło w ogóle jakiś argument w dyskusji. Pierwsza rzecz, którą musieliśmy znaleźć, to jakieś narzędzie, żeby ocenić w ogóle, ocenić ten dobrostan psychiczny studentów. Padło na inwentarz depresji Becka, który jest takim krótkim kwestionariuszem, dobrze sprawdzonym klinicznie. On jest stosowany przez psychologów, psychiatrów do oceny nasilenia objawów depresyjnych u pacjentów. Uznaliśmy, że to będzie perfekcyjne narzędzie do przeprowadzenia takiej ankiety. Okej, następna rzecz, zastanawialiśmy się, jak to zrobić, żeby sprawdzić, czy do zmiany dochodzi jakoś na przestrzeni tej edukacji, to znaczy w czasie, czy ona postępuje. Więc przeprowadziliśmy 3 próby, trzykrotnie wysyłaliśmy ten kwestionariusz do jednego rocznika studentów, to znaczy naszego. Na przykładzie naszego roku po prostu wysłaliśmy ten kwestionariusz na początku edukacji, czyli na początku pierwszego roku, potem po sesji letniej pierwszego roku i na drugim roku. Proszę dalej. Okej, potem zostało już tylko wysłać kwestionariusz do jak największej ilości uniwersytetów i uzyskać jak najbardziej zróżnicowane dane, zróżnicowane odpowiedzi na nasz kwestionariusz, a później zestawić te dane ze sobą.
Więc jeśli chodzi o metodologię, to właśnie jak kolega wspominał, zrobiliśmy ankietę na podstawie kwestionariusza depresji Becka i wysyłaliśmy ją do starostów z 9 uniwersytetów w Polsce. A jeśli chodzi o zebrane dane, to ich analizę przeprowadziliśmy w oprogramowaniu Statistika na podstawie 3 testów i to był test Kursaka-Wallisa, test Humana-Whitneya i test Humana-Whitneya z korektą Bonferroniego. Proszę o następny slajd. I jeśli chodzi o ogólne wyniki, no to ogólne wyniki to są każdy respondent, który wziął udział w badaniu, został wrzucony do statystyki i został przeanalizowany. No i tutaj wyszło, że średnia z każdej tury uległa jakby zwiększeniu w następnej oraz mediana tak samo, ale niestety, jeśli chodzi, czy jest to istotna różnica statystyczna, to niestety nam wyszło, że nie jest to istotna różnica statystyczna.
Okej. Przy czym, co jest istotne i co jest takim największym chyba osiągnięciem naszego badania, to udało nam się ustalić, że jeśli wyizolujemy studentów tylko z naszego wydziału, z którego też mieliśmy najwięcej respondentów zresztą, i zestawimy je tymi testami, o których wcześniej mówiliśmy, uzyskujemy taki wykres. Widzimy tutaj wyraźny wzrost mediany i średniej wyników tego kwestionariusza depresji Becka. Ja przepraszam, wcześniej nie wspomniałem, ale w tym kwestionariuszu im wyższy jest wynik studenta, tym większe jest nasilenie jego objawów depresyjnych. Więc myślę, że możemy na tej podstawie, zresztą jeszcze dopowiem, że tutaj w przeciwieństwie do tych ogólnych wyników widzimy na podstawie wartości P w porównaniu T1 i T3, to znaczy wyników z początku pierwszego roku i drugiego roku. Kiedy porównamy te wyniki, wychodzi nam istotna statystycznie różnica. To sugeruje, że faktycznie istnieje jakiś problem tego, że studiowanie tego kierunku lekarskiego, przynajmniej w tym czasie, który my sprawdziliśmy, po prostu wpływa negatywnie na dobrostan psychiczny studentów i powoduje zwiększenie tego nacechowania depresyjnego. Te wyniki, one zainspirowały nas do tego, żeby kontynuować naszą pracę, żeby jakoś bardziej przybliżyć ten problem, o czym jeszcze powiemy na koniec prezentacji. Tak.
Proszę, właśnie, tak, ten też jeszcze i z Warszawy też można pominąć. No i jeśli chodzi o przyszłą pracę, to właśnie jak było też pokazane na tych slajdach, których nie byliśmy w stanie zaprezentować, tam było pokazane, że pomiędzy uniwersytetami są dość znaczne różnice, dlatego temat wymaga dalszego zbadania i najlepiej byłoby to przeprowadzić na przykład za pomocą badania kohortowego, gdzie można byłoby obserwować jak przez całą edukację zmienia się wynik danego studenta i by można było to porównywać i wtedy sprawdzić, czy studiowanie medycyny wpływa na dobrostan właśnie, czy na dobrostan psychiczny studenta i byśmy mogli to właśnie robić we współpracy z naszymi naukowymi mentorami, czy instytucjami naukowymi, z którymi współpracujemy.
Proszę dalej. Dobrze. Na koniec chciałbym... Jeszcze jeden. Okej. Na koniec chciałbym podziękować podziękować kołom naukowym, studenckim kołom naukowym, z którymi współpracowaliśmy. To jest koło naukowe epidemiologii z profesorem Broszkiem na czele i koło naukowe rehabilitacji psychiatrycznej z profesorem Krystą. Bez ich pomocy nie udałoby nam się przeprowadzić tego badania w takiej formie, w jakiej teraz możemy Państwu je zaprezentować. Na pewno analiza statystyczna stanowiłaby poważny problem. Liczymy, że nasza współpraca będzie kontynuowana i będziemy mogli jeszcze lepiej przybliżyć ten problem dzięki już faktycznego badania kohortowego, które postaramy się opublikować. Dobrze, czas nas goni, także dziękuję bardzo za uwagę. Czy chcieliby Państwo zadać jakieś pytania? Proszę.
Bardzo dziękuję za prezentację. Gratuluję prezentacji. Mam pytanie bardziej techniczne. Czy panowie państwo używaliście kwestionariusza faktycznie BK, tak jak powiedzieliście, czy jednak BK2, którego obecnie się używa? No bo z prezentacji i z abstraktu wynika, jakby to był ten poprzedni inwentarz depresji BK. Oczywiście w obu z nich jest im wyższy wynik, tym no, jest silniejsze nasilenie. Prawdopodobnie objawów sugeruje silniejsze nasilenie objawów depresyjnych, w związku z czym dobrze, że pan o tym wspomniał, bo trochę ten początek prezentacji wskazywałby inaczej, zwłaszcza jak pan powiedział, że niestety ten wzrost objawów depresyjnych jest nieistotny statystycznie. To tak trochę chyba niefortunnie tutaj językowo wyszło, natomiast gratuluję bardzo pracy i też przede wszystkim o te dwie techniczne rzeczy. Chciałam na jedną już pan odpowiedział, czyli który to był tak naprawdę inwentarz depresji BK. I jeszcze technicznie, bo czy panowie macie pewność, że to ci sami studenci brali udział w badaniu, bo rozumiem, badanie było anonimowe. Tak, jakby coś troszeczkę więcej mogli panowie przybliżyć o tym, w jaki sposób był rozsyłany ten kwestionariusz, jak weryfikowaliście to, czy faktycznie student jest, tak jak w tytule, na nieodpłatnych stacjonarnych studiach i no, w jaki sposób to było sprawdzane i też rozumiem, że był to anonimowy kwestionariusz, więc jak udało się uzyskać no, powtarzalność taką trzykrotną w tym badaniu.
Dobrze. Dziękuję za pytanie. Jeśli chodzi o test BK, to był test BK 1, ten poprzedni, ze względu na to, że po prostu drugi jest, no nie uzyskaliśmy do niego dostępu, on jest płatny bodajże. Więc my po prostu zaczynaliśmy to badanie tak naprawdę bez współpracy z żadnym kołem naukowym, bo no okej, bez współpracy z żadnym kołem naukowym, tylko no po prostu sami to zrobiliśmy, więc nie mieliśmy dostępu do żadnego finansowania. Nie mogliśmy pozwolić sobie na ten drugi test, pomimo tego, że jest oczywiście nowszy. Teraz się go używa. Jeśli chodzi o to, jak sprawdzaliśmy, czy to są studenci publicznych uczelni, po prostu to są dane z ankiety, czyli tam oni zaznaczali, czy studiują na stacjonarnych studiach, czy na niestacjonarnych i na jakim uniwersytecie. To była pula jedynie tych uniwersytetów publicznych, które, no tak, tylko tam też wysyłaliśmy tą ankietę.
Ale na uniwersytetach publicznych też mamy zarówno stacjonarnych, jak i niestacjonarnych studentów. Ale rozumiem, że po prostu ufaliście temu, co studenci zaznaczyli w ankiecie.
Tyle nam pozostało. Dziękuję.
Dziękuję również za prezentację, bardzo interesującą. Ja mam takie pytanie, jak panowie uważacie, jakie są ograniczenia przeprowadzonych badań?
Naszych badań. Dobrze, przede wszystkim, jeszcze poprzednie pytanie, przepraszam, nie odpowiedziałem, bo było pytanie o to, w jaki sposób my się upewniliśmy, że to byli ci konkretni, ci sami studenci. Otóż badanie było anonimowe, my robiliśmy to na jednej populacji, czyli na po prostu naszym roczniku, tym, który rozpoczął studia razem z nami i wyciągaliśmy średnie mediany, statystykę opisową z tego. Nie mieliśmy konkretnie przypisanych studentów znaczy po prostu nie kontrolowaliśmy, czy to są ci sami studenci. Jeśli chodzi o ograniczenia, to właśnie jest duże ograniczenie. To wpływa na to, czy te dane są, znaczy, że te dane nie stanowią tak mocnego argumentu w dyskusji, jak może byśmy chcieli. Dodatkowo właśnie myślę, że czas, na przestrzeni którego były prowadzone badania, to jest ograniczenie. Kolejna rzecz to jest też coś, co na pewno chcemy wprowadzić w kontynuacji tego badania, czyli grupa kontrolna. My znaczy zobaczyliśmy tylko studentów lekarskiego, nie porównując tego z innymi studentami. No nie możemy wykluczyć takiej sytuacji, w której studenci innych kierunków też, jakby tam też zachodzi może takie zjawisko, tylko my tego nie widzimy. Więc na pewno to jest coś do poprawy w następnym badaniu. Dziękuję.
Bardzo dziękuję. Ja tylko podpowiem jeszcze, że tak jak pani doktor poruszyła tutaj ten wątek, warto by było kodować albo wiedzieć, jeżeli chodzi o to, jakie są pary osób rozwiązujących, dlatego że to wtedy zmienia postać procedur statystycznych, bo wy zastosowaliście panowie procedury dla grup niezależnych, prawda? A tak naprawdę nie wiadomo, czy to grupa zależna, czy niezależna.
Znaczy właśnie po konsultacji właśnie z profesorem właśnie Grzegorzem Broszkiem, z którym właśnie pomagał nam jakby w analizie statystycznej, to właśnie uzgodniliśmy, że jakby będzie to lepiej zrobić tymi grupami niezależnymi, bo jakby właśnie nie mamy tych identyfikatorów, jakby właśnie od naszego właśnie tego przyszłej edycji pragniemy właśnie zrobić te identyfikatory, jakby je to tak bardziej ustandaryzować niż w tej.
Super, bardzo dziękuję.
Moje pytanie też wiąże się troszeczkę z tymi, które były poprzednio, bo nie wiem, czy to tak nie wybrzmiało w waszej prezentacji, czy ja tego nie zarejestrowałam, ale w abstrakcie jest napisane, że zauważyliście zwiększenie czy zintensyfikowanie myśli samobójczych u osób, które wcześniej tych myśli nie miały. No właśnie, i to też właśnie, czy to były te same osoby, ale to już akurat to zostawmy. Natomiast jak myślicie, z czego to może wynikać, że jakby jest więcej tych myśli samobójczych, a wcześniej ich nie było?
Okej, znaczy tak, to faktycznie w naszym abstrakcie jest napisane, bo ogólnie wyciągnęliśmy jeszcze, dobra, w tym teście Beka jest kilka pytań, które uznaliśmy za najbardziej istotne. Tak też napisaliśmy w abstrakcie, to znaczy między innymi to pytanie o nasilenie myśli samobójczych, no, które jest chyba, nie wiem, zaryzykuję stwierdzenie, że najważniejszym pytaniem w całym teście. My chcieliśmy bardzo przybliżyć w naszym badaniu też właśnie nasilenie tych konkretnych cech, między innymi myśli samobójczych u studentów. No ale jeśli chodzi, znaczy po prostu było duże ograniczenie czasowe na prezentację. Z tego względu no, uznaliśmy, że nie uwzględnimy tego, z tego też dlatego, jak pani doktor powiedziała, że to jest dosyć niepewne. Nasza metoda była na tyle nieidealna, że po prostu no, ten element jest mocno, jest po prostu nie możemy tego do końca poprzeć. Dlatego uznaliśmy, że nie damy tego elementu do naszej prezentacji.
Mhm. Rozumiem, że też nie chcielibyście się wypowiadać na temat ewentualnych przyczyn, czy takich
No,
waszych
przepraszam.
spekulacji na ten temat.
No jeśli chodzi o to, myślę, że my nie jesteśmy, jesteśmy na drugim roku studiów, więc nie jesteśmy
Czy
osobami, które...
zauważyliście pewną tendencję i po prostu będziecie się w przyszłości też nad nią zastanawiać, tak to rozumiem?
Tak, bardziej o to chodzi. No po prostu wydaje mi się, że też nasilenie tych cech depresyjnych i pewna, nie wiem, złamanie tej nadziei, którą studenci mieli, zetknięcie z rzeczywistością, to są takie rzeczy, które mogą po prostu doprowadzić takiego, nie wiem, bardzo ambitnego studenta do tego typu stanu. Ale tak, na ten moment chcemy to przyjrzeć się bardziej zjawisku niż stawiać diagnozy.
Dobrze, dziękuję uprzejmie. Dziękuję.
Dziękujemy.
Thank you. And I would like another author to present the paper entitled Artificial Intelligence in Polish Psychiatry, Myth or Medical Revolution. Okay, dobra.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Magdalena Reclik, and I'm glad to present the results of our work, Artificial Intelligence in Polish Psychiatry, Myth or Medical Revolution. This is an extremely current topic, considering the fact of dynamical changes in Polish psychiatry and also technological progress, which open up new opportunities for us, but also raises certain concerns. Kolejny slide. So at the beginning, I would like to answer the question, what is AI? So AI is a field of knowledge, including neural networks, robotics, and including also deep learning, reinforcement learning, and this is shown in the diagram. So let's talk about the potential use of AI in psychiatry. So we can use AI in psychiatry for diagnosis, prevention of mental illness, and also preparation of medical documentation, and so much more, which is shown on the diagram. So as you can see, the potential use of AI in psychiatry is immense. The aim of our study was assessment of the current use of AI in psychiatric practice in Poland and potential willingness to implement it, and also indication of whether there are differences between the genders, as well as indication of opinions on ethical issues related to the use of AI in psychiatric practice. And I would also point out that the psychiatric care system in Poland is undergoing a reform aimed to a community model. And despite these changes, we are struggling with serious challenges such as shortages of specialists and unequal access to services. And we have fewer than 5,000 specialists for 37.5 citizens. So it arises question, can artificial intelligence support psychiatrists in Poland and improve patients' care? The methodology of our study. It was a paper-based survey. We conducted our study at the psychiatric conference for 140 people, and 135 people took part in the survey. They were psychiatrists, interns, doctor in specialization, and psychologists. And the respondents were asked questions about the use of AI in patient care and also about research if they did. So moving on to the results. I would like to say that our survey was quite long, so I will talk about only 2 questions of it. So first question is, how did respondents assess the ethical issues of using AI in medicine, and what situation is patient consent required? So starting with women, over 32% of women says that they always need additional consent, and only slightly over 8% says that they don't think it's necessary. Next. Men need additional consent always, only in 22.4%, and don't think it's necessary in over 34%. So we see the big differences between the genders. Next. We also divided our respondents into age groups, and in the younger age group, our respondent says that they always need additional consent in over 34%, and they don't think it's necessary in 20%. In the older group of patients, they think that the additional consent is always required in almost 30%, and they don't think it's necessary in almost 12%. So women were much more likely to respond that additional patient consent is always required to use their data for AI, and the results were statistically significant. So the next question is, how did respondents assess their willingness to implement AI in their practice? So starting with women, almost 80% of women are open to use AI, and only 3.5% use it regularly. And men, over 38% are open to use AI, and no one uses it regularly. And also almost 30% don't plan to use it. In the younger group of respondents, almost 90% are open to use, and also no one says that use it regularly, and also only 9.4% don't plan to use it. And in the older group of respondents, almost 70% are open to use AI in their practice. And also what surprised me, almost 5% says that they use it regularly. So to sum up, our results shows that AI has a great potential to be a valuable tool to support psychiatrists in Poland. However, there's still a need for further analysis, education for its ethical and implementation. And moving on to the title of my presentation, at this moment, psychiatry, use of AI in psychiatry is not widely spread, but that's not the full story. we can see that a lot of psychiatrists are interested in using AI in their practice, and they see its potential. And at this moment, it can more seem like a myth than a real change, but in the future, it can be different because it's also still start to begin. Thank you for attention.
Hello, so thank you for your presentation. I think we could see that it's not your first presentation, so your way of presenting is pretty good. Thank you. And I would like to ask two questions. First, if you used any questions to check the knowledge and understanding of what AI is among the questioned the question recipients, because the word AI is very broad, and if they could if they know the names of particular sites, and if you check it at all, and if so, how? And I would like to ask if you could tell us something more about the group that was the characteristic of the
So at the
group.
beginning of the paper we were conducting, there was a definition that we use of AI to declare it. And also, if someone asks us about it, because there was some of people that don't, that they're not, that they don't know what AI is in our perception, we also talk about it, and we will presenting our opinions about it.
Thank you, and I would like to ask if you could tell us something more about the group that you have questioned, the characteristic of the group.
Okay, so the gender distribution was comparable, and also the respondents were from the age of 20 to 60, and the main group was from 31 to 40, but then because we asked about the age mainly, and then we divided them into the two groups to the better statistical results on the presentation, because when we did the statistic in Excel and Statistica, we were using age in numbers, and then we divided into groups to the presentation. And also we asked them about the place of work, is it a city or village, and also place where they live. And it was also comparable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have one question. Do you remember how did you control statistically the differences between groups?
Since what we used to do the statistics.
Yes.
So at the beginning we used the chi-square, and also because at the beginning we think about the Shapiro wheel because of the number of the age, and then when we divided to the groups we use chi-square test.
Okay, chi-square is okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. And the next author will be joining us online and present a paper titled Cognitive Resilience on Chessboard, How Strategic Play Delays Mental Decline. The next author is not with us, so the another author will be also joining us online. And present a presentation titled Alexithymia and its association with alcohol use disorders among resident physicians in Latvia.
Hello, I wanted to ask if I can share my own presentation because it will be easier for me to change the slides.
I think it's possible for you. You have to share your screen with us.
Yes. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So, hello everyone. My name is Anna Aispurieta. I'm honored to be here, sadly in online form, but I am here from Riga Student University, Faculty of Medicine, and I will tell you about our research named alexithymia and its association with alcohol use disorders among resident physicians in Latvia. Our work tutor is a doctor in English, Anja Gabriela Rose. So the background. What is alexithymia? Alexithymia is characterized by difficulty in identifying, expressing, and understanding one's own feelings and emotions, and it is also considered a risk factor for various psychiatric disorders. Alexithymia has been linked to alcohol use disorders, although the mechanism remains unclear. Previous Latvian research highlighted the need to explore this link in at-risk groups. So we did. We chose resident physicians exposed to high stress and emotional burnout. For these reasons, they may be especially exposed. The aim of the study was to assess the prevalence of alexithymia and its association with alcohol use disorder risk among resident physicians in Latvia. This was a quantitative cross-sectional study. The study population consisted of resident physicians from 2 medical universities in Latvia, Riga Student University and University of Latvia. An anonymous online survey was conducted among resident physicians from June 2024 to September 2024. The questionnaire included socio-demographic questions such as gender, age, relationship status, university, residency year, and specialization, the alcohol use disorder identification test, and Toronto alexithymia scale. The data analysis involved descriptive statistics and the use of Pearson's Chi-square test, as well as Fisher-Freeman-Halton test. Statistical analysis was performed using Microsoft Excel and IBM SPSS software. So this is the breakdown of the 2 tests we used, the alcohol use disorders identification test and the Toronto alexithymia scale. I will not go through all of the numbers and meanings of them, but the main thing I wanted to point out was that for this study, we adapted the alcohol use disorder identification test to last groups, which is hazardous or harmful alcohol consumption, and the identification to the likelihood of alcohol dependence, and we combined them in one group. So basically, there are only 2 groups, low-risk consumption and high-risk consumption. The results. The survey was completed by 188 respondents. 19% were male and 81% were female. The youngest respondent was 25 and the oldest one was 56 years old. The median age, 28.5. 66% of the respondents studied in Riga Student University, 44% in University of Latvia. 37% of them were married, 41% were in a relationship, and 22% were single. The 3 most widely represented professions in the study were surgeons, general practitioners, and radiologists. And as you can see from the table, the 1st and 2nd year medical residents were the most active ones. In this graph, you can see the prevalence of alexithymia among resident physicians, and alexithymia can be observed in 22 of the respondents. In this slide, on the left graph, you can see the 3 audit groups, and as you can tell, the 2nd and the 3rd group are quite small, and that is the reason why we combined them in one bigger group. So 33 respondents can be associated with high-risk alcohol consumption. No significant associations were found between alexithymia and socio-demographic variables. I didn't put all the graphs in this presentation, it would be too long, but all the p-values are above 0.05. And this is the most important graph and basically the whole core of this research. And this graph shows the association between alexithymia and the risk of alcohol use disorder. And as you can tell, the respondents who have high risk alcohol consumption are the ones who have the most percentage in the alexithymia graph. So basically 32% of the respondents who have high risk alcohol consumption also has alexithymia. And this data is scientifically significant as the p-value is below 0.05. To conclude, alexithymia is significantly associated with high-risk alcohol consumption among resident physicians in Latvia. No statistically significant associations were observed between alexithymia and socio-demographic variables, and further research is required expanding the study population. So thank you for your attention. I will be glad to answer any of your questions.
Thank you for your presentation. And are there any questions?
I have one question. Thank you for your
Yes.
presentation. I would like to ask about the method of collecting the research group. It was classic method, paper, pencil, or it was online study?
It was online.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. It is a very interesting project. And I have one question. Have you thought about conducting the same study among another population of people in stress?
Of course.
What do you think?
Of course, it would be interesting. That's why I told in the beginning, in the background part, that this is only one of the exposed parties, as I can maybe say. We could look at any like other high stress professions. It would be interesting, yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, I really liked your presentation,
Thank
and I have one question because the biggest part of your study group were women, and I would like to ask about if you have, if any of the conclusions or maybe limitations are, do you connect any of the limitations or results with this uneven share of gender in your study group?
Thank you for your question. I think that the gender doesn't really impact our research as I don't know how it's in Poland or other countries represented. Most of the residents, most of the medical students are female. There are very little male like students and residents. So I think the percentage and everything is quite accurate of the real situation. I hope that answers something.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I would like to ask another author to present the paper entitled Association Between Insomnia and Symptoms of Depression and Anxiety and Type D Personality in Polish Firefighters.
Dear jury, dear guests, my name is Dagmara Duda, and today I'll be presenting the results of a study conducted by me, Karolina Daszuk, and Karolina Domagała. We are medical students at the Medical University of Silesia in Zabrze, representing the Student Scientific Club at the Clinical Department of Psychiatry. And next, please. The aim of our study is to evaluate the prevalence of insomnia and the association between insomnia and symptoms of depression, anxiety, type D personality, and high stress levels in Polish career firefighters. Next slide, please. This multi-center questionnaire study was conducted from January to March 2025. Data was acquired from district and municipal headquarters of the State Fire Service in cities across Poland. Firefighters anonymously completed online surveys that included the Athens Insomnia Scale, the Perceived Stress Scale, the DS-14 scale, and the Hospital and Anxiety Depression Scale. And besides that, the questionnaire also included the sociodemographic questions and questions assessing job characteristics. We used descriptive statistics to summarize the data. Normality was assessed using skewness and kurtosis. Pearson's coefficient was used to assess relationship between variables. Student test was used to determine statistical significance with a p-value of less than 0.05, and we also used Cohen's d to estimate effect sizes. In the study, we included a total of 186 firefighters, all of which are male, aged between 19 and 59 years old, with a mean age of 36.73 years. And most of respondents are experienced service workers with a mean work experience of around 13 years. And now we can move to the main part of our presentation. Our study showed that 12.37% of firefighters present symptoms of clinical insomnia, and around 31% present symptoms of borderline insomnia, with a mean score of 5.8 points and a standard deviation of 4.05. Based on the questions of the AIS, the most frequent issue addressed by the respondents was sleepiness throughout the day, expressed by almost 85%, and waking up from sleep, expressed by almost 82% of respondents. We analyzed the correlation between results of the AIS and sociodemographic data, and we noted a significant association between results of between the higher AIS scores and firefighters who denied regular physical exercise and those who serve in specialty groups. Sorry, could you please the slide for no one before? Yes, thank you. We also noted that there is no statistically significant correlation between the AIS score and the respondent's education level, area of residence, marital status, or having children. In our survey, regular physical activity was considered as exercising at least 3 times a week for at least 45 minutes, excluding work-related physical activity. And in the group of firefighters who declared regular physical activity, symptoms of clinical insomnia were presented by 10.48%. And at the same time, in the group of respondents who denied regular physical exercise, those symptoms were presented by 16.13%. Firefighters who serve in a specialty group display symptoms of insomnia twice as often compared to those who don't, which can be caused by that they have a wider range of duties and responsibilities than the standard firefighters, and specialty groups work in extraordinary conditions like high altitudes or demanding water or even underwater conditions. And these 2 graphs present the severity of insomnia symptoms in firefighters depending on engagement in physical activity, the first graph, and on service in a specialist group, the second graph. Our study showcased that all analyzed psychological measures are statistically significantly correlated with insomnia symptoms. Higher scores in the Athens Insomnia Scale correlated the strongest with depression, and then accordingly with negative affectivity, anxiety, and delays with high levels of stress,
and social inhibition. 88.89% of respondents with a higher severity of depression symptoms, and 85.71% of respondents with higher severity of anxiety symptoms displayed either symptoms of clinical or borderline insomnia. And before we get into the statistics related to type D personality, I'd like to provide some context. So type D personality is defined as the tendency to suppress strong negative emotions due to fear of rejection or negative self-image. And type D personality consists of two components: negative affectivity and social inhibition. And sorry for the error, but the social inhibition is 54.02 and negative affectivity is 88.89. So in general, 70% of respondents who displayed symptoms of type D personality also presented symptoms of clinical or borderline insomnia. But we noted that negative affectivity have a way stronger impact on the prevalence of insomnia than social inhibition, because 88.89% of firefighters with symptoms of negative affectivity also presented symptoms of clinical or borderline insomnia, but in the case of social inhibition, this percentage is only 54.02. And finally, 54.24% of firefighters who experience moderate or strong stress presented symptoms of either clinical or borderline insomnia. And to conclude, we can state that firefighters working in specialty groups and ones who denied engaging in regular physical activity have a higher risk for presenting insomnia symptoms. And firefighters with symptoms of type D personality, especially negative affectivity, depression, anxiety, and high stress levels, have a higher likelihood of presenting insomnia symptoms. And we think it would be beneficial to implement preventive measures in the form of education and standardized screening among Polish firefighters to maintain their health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I have one question about the origin of the idea for research conducted among firefighters.
So I personally come from a family of firefighters, so I had the knowledge how to access this Heart to Each group. And I've seen, I'm sure everybody here has seen on the news or in the newspapers, different tragic accidents, incidents that firefighters have to work through, and have wondered how their mental health is affected. And since insomnia is one of the strong factors in development of other mental health disorders, and also a firefighter's line of work doesn't necessarily align with a perfect sleep schedule, we thought that it would be beneficial to focus on that aspect first.
Thank you very much.
We did include both firefighters who work 24, 48 hours and some of administrative workers who work every day for 8 hours a day.
Thank you for your presentation. And now I would like to ask the next author to present the study titled Evaluating the Effectiveness of Schulz Autogenic Training versus Immersive VR Relaxation, a Pilot Study.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to present a study called Comparison of the Effectiveness of Schultz Autogenic Training and Immersive Relaxation Techniques using VR goggles. Next slide, please. Here's our presentation plan. And this project was made possible thanks to the funding of the Polish ministry program called Studenckie Koła Naukowe Tworzą Innowacje. Virtual reality is recently applied to many specializations, include psychiatry. It is used to enhance therapeutic outcomes of our work. Next slide. In our study, we employed VR Tier 1 goggles that offer 14 different modes, each lasting approximately 12 minutes. The modes transport our patient to natural circumstances such as forests, lakes, and seas. During the relaxation sessions, the individuals assumes a seated position and focus on their breathing and the surrounding visuals. The aim of our study was to compare the effectiveness of Schultz autogenic training and immersive relaxation techniques using VR goggles. So, our study was conducted on a group of 13 female patients. The patients were diagnosed with mood or anxiety disorders. We used scales, HIDS, Athens Insomnia Scale, AC3, and MoCA. Our statistical considerations were conducted using Stadinsky t-test. So, our results. The anxiety symptoms was observed in both groups and they dropped. On average, anxiety scores decreased by 4 points in Schultz training group and 5.5 in VR therapy group. Can I please, next slide? And the depression has no significant changes above both groups. So, can we go further? So, also our intervention improved the sleep quality in both groups with average 6 points decrease in Athens Insomnia Scale scores. And here's the results for the Schultz group. And in the next slide, we have our results for the VR group, and they are really comparable. So can we go to our conclusions? In the MoCA and AC3 scale, the results didn't change during our course of study. And conclusions. Use of immersive relaxation techniques with VR goggles was associated with a reduction in anxiety symptoms and improvement in sleep quality in female patients hospitalized in a psychiatric ward. Similar effects were also observed with Schultz autogenic training, although the reduction in anxiety was somewhat less pronounced. Further studies are necessary to more precisely determine the relationship between immersive relaxation techniques and the mental condition of patients. Thank you for your attention, and I invite you to the discussion.
Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I have the question about the limitations of the study. What do you think? What are limitations in the procedure or maybe in the group collection?
The group collection, the group are really small. The VR group was for patients. Maybe I didn't mention that the Schultz group was 10 patients and VR group was 4 patients. So it's small group, but the study is ongoing, and we hope we will have a larger group, so we can more parameters to analyze.
Thank you. I have also another idea. Remember about statistical procedures, because the group is very small and you used parametric statistics. I consider that the normality of distribution could be disturbed. So think about this in further analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. And now I would like the next author to present the paper titled From Silence to Statistics, Uncovering the Hidden Face of Sexual Abuse in Poland.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear jury. Thank you for the opportunity to address such a distinguished audience. My name is Aleksandra Kępczyńska, and I'm a fifth-year medical student at Medical University of Silesia in Katowice. On behalf of myself and my research team, I would love to present to you the extended results of our study about marital rape and sexual abuse within relationships in Polish society. Our study delved into a very difficult topic that is often shrouded in silence and stigma, because probably most of you sitting here today have never heard about such a thing as a marital rape. But not because the problem doesn't exist, more likely because we don't want to notice it. And that is also proven by the lack of research in this topic. Before I start, I would love to express my gratitude to our tutors, Professor Krzysztof Nowosielski and Dr. Tomasz Cyganek, for their assistance and supervision of the project. Let me start by asking you a question. When you hear the word rape, what image do you have in your imagination? Is it a dark alley? Maybe a stranger using a physical force? Well, probably yes, because that's how most of society see the rape. But let me tell you something what may surprise you. Most of those rapes don't happen in those dark alleys. They happen in bedrooms, in relationships, in silence. The aim of our study was to find out the prevalence of sexual abuse in relationships in Polish society with a special focus on marital rape. We conducted an online survey consisting of 38 questions filled out anonymously by 600 individuals. We shared our presentation on social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. We asked our participants about their past experience of sexual abuse, but also their understanding of the concept of rape. The including criterion for our study was age over 18 years. Starting with the gender of our population, we can see that our study presents the white gender group, which may reflecting on the complexity of human experience. Yes. That's maybe not surprising, but also most of our respondents were heterosexual. The result of our study paint a sobering picture because as many as 28.8% of our respondents experienced sexual abuse in their relationship. And if you think about this number, it's not maybe big, but think about it. It's more than 1 in 4. So every 4 of you here, sitting here today, would experience it statistically. So that's not rare. It means that it's everywhere. Most of our respondents were in the age between 18 and 54, which may give us the wide perspective of the generation differences. Let me delve into more details of our study, but before I do it, I just want to mention that the next data are going to be exclusively from those who experienced the sexual abuse in their relationships. So on this histogram, you can see the responses of our sexually abused individuals, what they would do if such a situation happened. And I want to draw your attention to 3 numbers. Calling the police, 13%. Also, over 33% would leave their partners, and as many as over 16% wouldn't do anything. Probably some of you right now are thinking what I would do if I experience it, and what did they do? So I'm just going to present to you what they did. Unfortunately, as you can see, here there are results of our sexually abused individuals, what they did after experiencing this abuse. And I want to start from the bright side of this dark issue, which is over 40% of our respondents left their partners. And to remind you, it's 7% more than gave this answer in the previous question. But unfortunately, that's the end of the positivity, because also over 40% of our respondents haven't taken any steps. And if we turn to calling the police part, only 4 people of 172 experienced sexual abuse. They just reported it to the police. Asked why they haven't done it, most frequently they said that they didn't believe that police would help, but also of the lack of evidence. And also, what is worth mentioning, that 33% of our respondents at that time hadn't known that what they are experiencing is a sexual abuse. The aim of our study wasn't only to find out the statistics of sexual abuse in Polish society, but we are also curious what types of abuse is the most frequent in our society. So as you see, over 65% experience ignoring disagreement and boundaries, almost 50% forced vaginal penetration, over 40% forced oral sex, and over 24% forced anal penetration, excuse me. And we all heard the definition of the rape presented by me on the first slide of this presentation, saying that a rape is any forced sex. Do you want to know how many of those sexually abused individuals, after going through such a situation, named it and admitted, yes, what happened to me was rape? Despite being presented the clear definition of rape, only 36.6 sexually abused individuals admitted that they were raped. And unfortunately, that paints a sobering picture, because we know that we don't have only a problem with sexual abuse itself, but we also have a problem with naming it, recognizing it, and taking actions after experiencing it. For many years, Polish law defined rape by force, not by lack of consent. And for those who don't know, this definition changed in February of this year. It is evident that even further research with a more diverse group, with a special focus on LGBTQ plus people, and also men, because there are not such a big group in our study, is fully needed to comprehend the complexity of the human experience. And that leads me to the end of my presentation, which I want to finish by asking all of you here sitting here today to educate your friends, your future patients or present patients, and also society. So if I or anyone else in 30 years would do the same research, we won't get such a tragic statistic and won't be able to present it on such a conference. Thank you all for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hello, I would like firstly to say that it was very interesting presentation, both due to your way of presenting and the topic itself. And I would like to ask a question, because I was wondering if the proposed answers, or you know, the ones that showed in the statistics were made by you, or were they taken from some other studies done in this way? If you could tell us something about this.
All right, thank you for your question. That's a really good one. Those answered were made usually by me and my research team, because we have talked about this topic in many people before we conducted the survey, and those were the answers given by people. Because we couldn't take those answers from other researchers, because there's no researchers about it. So we just like, and also in the survey, every respondent could write their own answer also.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I have difficult question, but you as a specialist maybe could answer or just think about this. I think about the situation you told that rape is all activities with forced sex. How with diagnosis of this situation, I think rape in the BDSM practice?
That's really good questions. And in our survey, there were also many, maybe not many, but there were a few people who were mixing the rape and BDSM practice. So that's why, unfortunately, I think that's the limitation of our research, that we have to think that every of us has their own definition of rape and like their own boundaries. And I think the most important is to talk about it with your partner. So if we set boundaries with our partner in our relationship, then if partner cross this board, then I think it's a rape. But if we all agreed to such things, for example, BDSM practice, then I think we shouldn't consider it as a rape. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I have two questions. First, when was the data collected? And second, maybe I am wrong, I don't know, but I remember, yes, you know what?
Yes.
Okay, the second question, how are the results presented today different from the results presented 1 year ago?
Okay, so first of all, I'll start from the second question. So a year before, we presented with 200 individuals. Today, there's like 600. And fortunately and unfortunately, the results are really similar because last year, as I think it was like 26.8% of sexually abused individuals. Today, it was like 28.8. Unfortunately, it shows that with the larger group, it's still like 1 in 4 of sexually abused individuals. Right now, we're still working to find out if in LGBTQ plus group, this problem is also common. And we are trying to find more men to take part in our survey because they're not likely to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you. So the project is improving.
Yes, yes, yes. And answering to the first question, we started collecting data over a year ago, and we are still going on because we need to enlarge our group and like have the fully complexity of the human experience so we could publish it as one big research.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Did you collect the data that can tell us if it was a one-time thing or it was going over like multiple times and they just decide to, I don't know, educate? If we can link that to the education about this topic.
Thank you for this question. Yes, we asked about it. Like our survey consists 38 questions, so we have a lot of questions, including this one as well. And we were asking about something what it's not just once, what was temporary, and also what steps they did, and if they understood that what they have been through was a rape. And as you could see, there were 33%, which is worth mentioning, of people that at that time they hadn't known it was abuse. So that's why I was trying to tell all of you to educate yourselves and also patients and your friends. So if any of your friends or any of your future patients would go through it, they would be able to name it, recognize it, and take actions. They wouldn't be in those relationships for years thinking that there's an obligation to have sex in the relationship. Because that's also what some of them said, that they thought that they're obligated to have sex with their partner whenever the partner wants, no matter if they want it or not. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
Did you provide any kind of help or feedback information to the respondents?
unfortunately, we weren't able because I am not still a healthcare professional. So me, myself, I wouldn't be able to give them a help. But we were also suggesting by giving the answers that they should call the helpline. They should talk to psychiatrists, psychologists, because we also asked if any of them have been seeing psychologists, psychiatrists, if they have been through therapy. So I hope that some of them, after doing the survey, they started to think that, oh, if I went through was a sexual abuse, so maybe that's why right now in my new relationship, I cannot set boundaries. I am afraid. Because we're also asking it in our survey, if the past experience have any influence on present relationship, for example, or if they're afraid of any physical touch of a person, also including gynecology examination. Thank you.
Thank you for this presentation, and we kindly ask the authors who were supposed to join us online to present their paper titled Cognitive Resilience on the Chessboard, How Strategic Play Delays Mental Decline, but it seems that they are absent. Okay, so all the submitted papers have been presented. We congratulate all the presenting authors and participants of the psychiatry and sexology session. At this point, I would like to ask Dr. Piegza for a few words to sum up the session.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank all participants for taking part in this conference. I have impression that the quality of work you present is improving, still improving, and therefore it is more and more difficult to choose the best one. So I would like to wish you good luck and success in scientific work and till the next year, I think. Thank you very much.
We truly appreciate your valuable comments, accurate observations, and work on presentation assessment. We would like to invite all of you for the closing ceremony of the SIMC 2025 conference, which will be held in A3 Hall on the 9th of May at 5 p.m. On the behalf of Student Scientific Society, I would like to thank you all for participation in this session. But also I would like to ask two participants, Karolina Daszek and Magdalena Stencel, to wait with us for a few seconds after the session is over. Thank you.